So you've been on record saying that you have a demented brain, like everything you see, you have a demented view on it, right? Like
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
were talking about earlier, you have like a warped sense of reality. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, I'm very exploitational, and I find things funny that are outside the box, right? So I was brought up on humor, like the typical just bubblegum humor ain't gonna make me laugh really, like or really strike a nerve with me. So the stuff that'll strike a nerve with me is movies like The Toxic Avenger, when it's so outlandish and so crazy, like a lot of these low budget B movie exploitation flicks where the criminals and the bad guys and the goons and the villains, you remember Goodfellas? Like this guy, he rooted for the bad guys in the movie. So I was very
Right.
similar to that. I was cheering when Leatherface would cut people to pieces. I'm like, yeah, cut that bitch in half. I wanted to see the gore and the shit. I was not happy like at the end of the flick if they got over on Michael Myers, and I don't want Jason to die. I wanted the killing to continue. So I was just one of those kids. I enjoyed it, and me and my friends we get kicks out of it. We watch it together and be like, yeah, look how he killed that one. He punched through her head. Yes, whatever the fuck it was, right? Or Toxic Avenger would smush the guy's head and would explode with the prosthetic makeup, and we were blown away by it. We're kids. We would watch Faces of Death, which was like this taboo video series where you weren't supposed to watch it if you weren't. It was like NC-17, and they would depict real deaths on film. So they would go to different countries, and certain things would pop up on film. You'd have these I don't know, explorers or whoever in the Amazon, and like some fucking monkey would get killed, and they would have it on camera, and they would put it in, compile it in these videos called Faces of Death, and then somebody would jump off some idiot kid would jump off ceiling, a roof with a bungee cord, and didn't account for the 13th floor not being there, and the bungee cord was too long, and would smash on the floor, and they had it on film, and you see the guy's brain splatter on the floor. And as kids were eating pizza, watching this, building up a tolerance and immunity for violence, and thinking that it was cool. So it's lack of supervision too. Like I'm not letting my daughter watch that shit now. You learn from what you learn later on, is that shit wasn't cool. It affected your brain in a different way. So when I write or I create something, or even the movies that I choose to watch, I'll be watching some shit. My wife walks in from wherever, and I'm watching something crazy. Some low budget, nutty stuff, because I'm looking to dig for samples and stuff that's going to inspire me to write and get into my Mr. Hyde mind state. And she'll walk in and she's like, "That's you. I'm good." I'm like, "Babe, you want to sit down and watch a flick with me? It's crazy." And she's like, "Nah, I'm good. You watch that. I'm going to bed." So like that type of shit.
Like you said, you're a parent now, and when you look back on the things that you were doing at such a young age, right? Does it trip you out when you look at your daughter and you think, "Damn, when I was this age, I was doing this"?
Yeah. Well, right. Well, she's only 5, right? So
Right.
so at 5, I wasn't.
You said you were already punching people in the face at that age, pretty much, right? So
Yeah. My first fight was I was probably 6. So I think it was second grade. This kid, I remember, it was now we get back into the melting pot. It was a Korean kid named Howard Cho, I think, some shit, right? So it was in second grade. This is a hilarious story. This is the first fight ever, second grade, and we're in gym class, and we're playing Duck Duck Goose. You familiar with Duck Duck Goose?
right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're familiar.
Yeah.
So this kid was like a heavy set Korean kid, big, and we're sitting in a circle in gym. It's like recess or whatever the fuck it was, and he's going around, duck, 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 and every time he would say goose, he'd pick me for some fucking reason and punch me and go goose. So he's just doing duck, 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 and why? I'm the goose that you punch, like you're picking me. So you know what I'm saying? So it would be me every time he'd punch me. So the first time I'd be like, whatever, and I get up and I'm gonna goose and I'm doing it, and I sit back and every time it was his turn, he punched me again. So, I got up when I was waiting for him the next time to do it. I was like, all right, the next time he does it, I made the deductive reasoning in my head. The next time he does it, I'm gonna get up and punch him in his face. And so he did goose, and I jumped up and I punched him right in the bridge of his nose, where my father told me to do. People put their hands on you.
The
So I
one
punched
hitter
him.
quitter.
Yeah, so I punched him dead in his face. I didn't know how to punch yet, really, but I hit him pretty hard, and he was bleeding from his nose, and it was a big, cause second grade, and my mother had to come to school, my father had to come to school, and the kid bled a lot, like he kept bleeding for some reason. I don't know if it's a hemophilia. I dealt with a couple. I punched so many people that there was a few there's a few hemophiliacs mixed in there. Kids be having hemophilia, like some weird shit. Like, oh, don't hit Greggy. He's got hemophilia. He'll never stop bleeding. You can kill him. Wacky shit, right? So and then of course I hit Greggy and he kept bleeding, and I'm in trouble. And my father's having to sit down with Greg's father and. Like, oh, my son didn't know he had hemophilia. Like, wild shit. Fun stories. I got stories on top of stories where if I don't even bother telling them anymore, because I feel like, one, it's glorifying violence, and I don't really want to do that in public and civilization. Like, my music is an outlet, and I do it, and my
It's an
fans love it.
art. It's
It's
different.
an art. It's an outlet. So Tarantino's making a flick, and he's glorifying violence in Pulp Fiction and the Mondo scenes and the goonism and the characters that come out, and he's exemplifying and embellishing characters that might hit home to us because we know goons like that. We might have seen a Ving Rhames character in our neighborhood from Pulp Fiction, that type of dude, no nonsense. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever. So, or mob dudes like that are portrayed in Goodfellas. You knew that dude who worked in the fucking the car. He owned the car wash, but he was a mob guy, and everybody knew it. You get shit like that. But yeah, so I kind of lost track, but the my daughter thing, right? So I
Right.
don't. I tried. She knows my music, so I actually have a funny video of her breakdancing to my new single. She's a goon. She's learning very quickly sarcasm and like my attitude, and she's kind of like we're twinning in a lot of ways because I let her watch Daddy, I want to watch a spooky movie, but I'm not going to show her Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I might show her Jaws and watch it with her and tell her, listen, cover your eyes, or whatever. If we need to cover your eyes or if we need to stop it, you let me know. We'll stop it. Um, my mother gets pissed off. My wife gets pissed off that I'm watching Jaws with her. But I'm not gonna say no to her. I'm like, all right, Jaws ain't that bad, and at least it teaches her that like don't go too deep in the water and watch the sharks.
Right. Right.
I'm in Florida now, so have a healthy fear for sharks, because if you go swimming and you're playing around and maybe my wife or I don't look at you for a second and you're in the fucking deep water, whatever, you're running into anything into the ocean. So it's a healthy fear. Watch Jaws. And then we'll watch something like Beetlejuice, right? So Beetlejuice is a little scary, for a little kid, but it's funny, and Michael Keaton was dope. And we watched Beetlejuice 1 and 2. I put her on. So I'll show her like the old school classics. My mother is next level. She'll make her watch like Mighty Joe Young, the black and white shit, King Kong, the black and white shit that she grew up on. So she'll, and then one of the funniest stories is I had her watching, the first horror flicks I had her watching was King Kong, the black and white, Wolfman, the original Wolfman with Lon Chaney Jr., black and white, but the old school effects with it, like the imaging and you see the wolf changing like from frame to frame, and she loved it. And she would be like, "Oh, Daddy," and she's 3 years old. "Daddy, I want to watch the Wolfman, the Wolfman, the Wolfman." And my mother would be like, and my wife would be like, "Not before bed," like at least, because she knows that they know that I'm gonna let her watch the Wolfman, so they can't stop it. Because I'm gonna be like, that's my dope daughter. She wants to watch the Wolfman. I'm watching it with her. Let's watch the fucking Wolfman. And then little later on, I remember, here's a funny story. Me and my wife, my wife does music too. So we're at the Dragon's Lair recording studio where we record music and stuff like that. Shout out to my engineer, Multiple Blast Off, my friend engineer, for years. Makes the Mr. Hyde music sound incredible. So we're there and we're staying for the weekend. And we brought my daughter, and she's like 3 at the time, right? So she's asleep, and it's like 9:30 at night, asleep, and he's like, "Yo," talking loud. We're hanging out, him and his wife, and me and my wife, and we're friends. And after the studio session, we're chilling, we're talking loud, and I'm like, "Yo, if you talk any louder, Angelina, my daughter's gonna come out of the room and be like, yo, 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 what's up, motherfuckers? Let's watch the Wolfman. You know, my daughter's gonna be like, so what's good? Y'all partying? You talking loud up in here? Let's watch the Wolfman. You know, so my daughter don't want to go to sleep. So they were like, they realized, like, oh shit, that's right. Angelina's gonna be on some. I'm staying up all night with y'all, and we're gonna watch horror movies, and we'll be stuck watching, you know, a marathon of black and white horror movies. So, and not doing our adult, you know, whatever we're doing. So, you know, it's dope now to have that 5-year-old daughter who's already smart, already knows how to manipulate and get over. Like, she'll ask my wife for something, she'll say no, and my wife will go in the bedroom, and then she'll come to me and ask me for the same thing, and I'll give it to her because she knows daddy's a little more like, yeah, you can have that. Go ahead, cool, yeah, oh yeah, all right. You know, so and then vice versa, whatever it is. I'm a health nut. I'm all about health. So she might give her soda, right? And then this is how fucked up my daughter is. My daughter is such a little scumbag that she'll ask me for soda, and I'll say no, drink water. And then she'll go. I'll leave the house or something, and then she'll ask my wife for it, and my wife will drink Pepsi, right? So she'll give her a little sip of Pepsi. Then I'll come home, and she'll rat out my wife. She'll say, "Daddy, Mommy gave me soda." Because she knows that I'm gonna go tell Karine. I'm gonna tell my wife, like, yo, you gave her soda after I said no. What are you doing? Don't give her soda. She's gonna. So but she likes it. She wants to play us against each other.
Right.
To see what's up.